Hey guys, welcome back.
Welcome back to Inspired Delusions.
If you're new here, my name is Kayma.
And I'm Olivia.
And we are your delusional besties.
Hey Besties. And it's Kayma with an M.
Oh, yeah.
We had an amazing fan who gave us a shout out on TikTok, which everyone actually give us more shout outs. You know what? Now that we're talking about it, everyone make TikToks and everyone post on Instagram because we need to spread the Inspired Delusions word. Okay. But someone was like, it's by Olivia Rose and Kayla. And we were like, so close.
It actually really was like such a beautiful, beautiful TikTok. She was talking about our M on the Brain episode, which was obviously amazing. We hope you guys have been listening over and over and over again. That's what some people have been telling us. So we're just assuming all of you guys are doing that. But it was so good.
It was so good. I was a little worried because we only had 2 mics because
she was on our couch.
Yeah, this was the first guest that we had in person. And we only had 2 mics. But I think no one really complained about the audio. So I hope it was good.
Yeah.
But that episode was so good. And learning from M is so cool and so confirming for us, I feel like, because we've been saying all of these things about, hey, be delusional, dream big, like doing all these things. And she's actually saying it from like the science point of view.
Yeah.
So we told y'all being delusional is the key. So that episode was really good. We've gotten really good feedback. And yeah, shout out to the growth, baby.
Yeah.
We're on the up and up.
No, we are on the up and up. That was a crazy guest. One of our friends, Lex, was like, I cannot believe that she was there after you guys had been talking about her for such a long time. And we're like, yeah.
And it's very cool for you guys to follow along with the journey of who we're talking about, which we wanted to say another thing that we want to manifest. We are manifesting is Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
We're going to have Dr. Joe come on the podcast. We are shifting from trying to get Will Smith on the podcast. Will's out. Dr. Joe is in. Because like so many people have been commenting and being like, oh, we're like tagging Will.
Yeah, they're tagging Will. It's so sweet.
Or being like, yeah, Will's going to come on. But yeah, so we're actually shifting that to Dr. Joe. We need everyone. We need all of you guys to hold the vision of Dr. Joe Dispenza coming on the podcast. And the thing is, we've always known he's going to come on.
He's definitely coming on.
Like we know that. Yeah. But now we want it like tomorrow.
Yeah, it's more a matter of when he's coming on.
Yeah.
But I guess also taking inspired action to make that happen. Because it's like, obviously, Dr. Joe can't just sit on our couch.
Well, if we got a good setup, like we'll get a team in here, lighting, production.
Oh yeah, I guess we could do like the whole thing. Yeah,
you're
right. You know what?
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow with Dr. Joe, come on in. Who else connects?
I do want to highlight a quote from last week. Emily had said something along the lines of, reality doesn't exist in the physical world. Reality exists in your mind. And I felt like that was so powerful. I wrote that down and was like, that's such a good line. we need to lock that in. And it's so cool because a couple of you guys had commented or sent us messages being like, I love this line. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're all on the same page. Reality only exists in your mind. Yeah. And so it is so important that you guys are being delusional and asking for what you want and just doing the thing and putting yourself out there.
1000%.
I went home for a week. I went home for like 10 days. And that's like the longest we've been apart in like 6 months. I feel like
it was crazy.
It kind of was crazy. So shout out my OB, my dentist, and my eye doctor because I told them all about it. So I hope you guys are listening.
New audience loading.
No, literally. Yeah.
We've been telling people like at the club. Like, hey, listen to our podcast.
Someone walking down the street, we're like, hey, have you heard of Inspired Delusion?
Hilarious. Yeah. Whatever it takes, you guys. Whatever it takes to get this podcast to number 1. Yeah. Because it's going to happen. So
it's happening. Yeah. My dentist was like, oh, like you're really trying to like go for it. And I'm like, yeah.
We're already there.
Yeah.
We're already going for it.
I should have told him that. He was asking for like numbers and he was like, is this too personal? And I was like, no, not at all. Because I mean, we're number 1. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And that's on being delusional.
Yeah.
You guys, hold the vision. We're the number 1 delusional girlies. And we're even becoming more and more delusional every week.
No, we had to have a delusional check-in. We did it with our community members last week. We were like, okay, are we actually being delusional? Like, for real? Right. Like, are we really dreaming big and hoping for the best case scenario and regulating our nervous system to match it? And we decided we weren't being delusional enough. We were being delusional enough to like what we have at the moment, but we need to push it.
Yeah. So just pushing it even more,
which ties into what we want to talk about with you guys today, which is radical optimism. We are bringing it back, especially now. I feel like we need to to be talking about this now more than ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and we definitely want to be,
even here in LA,
literally here in LA,
in our backyard,
literally in our backyard, and we want to be a source of like hope. You know, we want to be a source of hope for you guys and optimism. Like I remember a few years ago, very specifically, I guess I remember very specifically, but I also don't remember because I'm like, who said that? I don't know. But I just remember being like hearing anything of like having hope and anyone talking about like, hey, actually the world really is going in a good direction, which we do believe. And we're going to dive more into that. And just latching onto that and being like, that's so powerful because there's so much noise out there. There's so much like kind of like fear mongering almost. There is so much happening, but it is so important to have hope and to know that there's actually so many people fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
There's so many people who care. There's so many people who are like literally putting their lives on the line to help humanity.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, do believe that the world is going in a good direction, even though it seems chaotic, even though it almost kind of sometimes seems hopeless. But I really do think the world is going in a good direction. And that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, I think for me and for us, because I mean, we've talked about this, but being spiritual people who believe in the liberation and freedom of all people, it can feel really daunting when you're seeing not that happen at the current time. And so for me, I have to have radical optimism. I have to force it. We always say like joy is a form of resistance, right? And so I have to be looking for the good things and then trying to put all my attention on that, because I think that's the part I'm playing right now in the collective consciousness. Like that's what I add to it. And so, yeah, so radical optimism, guys.
Yeah, there's a quote that says like radical optimism is the only way out. And I love that. I'm like, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
You know, we really do have to have and make sure like so many people are having optimism and so many people are holding the vision of the world going in a good direction and having hope and all these things. And we hope that this podcast can be a source of hope for you guys. So that's why we need this podcast to grow, because we need the Inspired Delusions to affect the collective consciousness.
No, literally. And I said this a couple months ago, but I joined this group meditation, and one of the leaders, he had said something before we started the meditation, and he said, we are a network of observers creating reality. What we think about, it makes a difference. It adds to the shift, and it can be shifting towards fear and sadness and hopelessness, or we can be adding to the shift that moves towards, you know, higher vibrations.
Yes.
And even if it's just one notch up, right? It doesn't have to be this crazy leap, but yeah. And hopefully, you know, for you guys every week, we're a safe space where you guys can come and kind of turn your minds off and
giggle.
Giggle
with the girls,
laugh with the besties, and just know that things are moving in the right direction. And if you want that to be your role, like you can add to it by highlighting the good things that are happening and to send love to the areas that need it,
and amplifying the voices of the people who are like fighting the good fight and really are for the people. Like Hassan Piker. Do you guys know him? Do you guys know Hassan Bibi?
You guys, Olivia didn't know that her likes were public on TikTok.
Guys, I have been posting on TikTok for 3 years now.
She has hundreds, if not thousands, of liked thirst traps of Hassan. And
if you know, you know. I was so shocked the other day when I realized, like, I knew my saves, like, obviously reposts are public, we know that, and then saves,
which I love,
which we love. I love a repost.
I love a repost.
And my saves, like, I knew my saves weren't public, but for some reason I thought my likes weren't public either. And I looked, I said, wait a second, people can see what I've liked on TikTok for 3 years. This is incriminating.
Okay, well, I mean, out of all the things you could be liking,
true,
Hassan is the least.
I want him to come on the podcast. Everyone tag Hassan, okay? He needs to come on the podcast because he is someone who like really fights for the people. Like he's really for the people. So shout out Hassan. If you see this. Big fan.
That is so funny. So radical optimism. What does this mean to me? What does this mean to me?
It means going to the new earth.
Oh, it does mean going to the new
the
earth.
new earth, you
The
guys.
new
What do y'all know
earth.
about that? We've said that before, right?
We've mentioned it a couple times.
Okay.
We were introduced to the idea of new earth obviously through TikTok, but Dolores Cannon talks about it a lot, and it's just shifting towards a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah. The way I think about it, and I understand it, is that you can either be so scared and so hopeless and think that this world is like literally ending and going towards bad, or you can hold the hope and have radical optimism and like really hold the vision of everyone on this planet raising their collective consciousness and the world going in a good direction. And so it's more of like a state of mind, really.
Yeah. And I think, going back to radical optimism, I think that is making the conscious effort to get into a state of creation.
Totally.
If that makes sense, instead of, latching on to lower vibrations or feeling stuck. Because it's not bad to feel these lower vibrations, especially when, scary, devastating things are happening.
Totally.
But I think having radical optimism, it literally shifts you into creation making, but then also calms your nervous system.
Yeah.
Because when your nervous system's calm, then you're able to help even more whatever you're trying to help with.
Yeah, 1000%. And heavy on the creation, because I think if you're in this mode of like, fear and hopelessness and I can't do anything, then you're kind of giving your power away and not realizing, hey, we actually do have so much power in creating our reality and creating the collective reality for everyone. And don't forget your power. Like, don't forget, we really do have the power. So that's why we need this podcast to have millions of listeners so we can really affect the collective.
So obviously by now we know that being delusional is
the key.
Yes, it is the key, but it's also, it's law of assumption, right?
Yes.
And I think that's also what radical optimism is. These are like all different ways to say, expect the best case scenario, hope for the best, put yourself out there, and then know in your mind, spirit, heart, and all aspects that it's working out and that it's true and that it's done.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's a good point. Yeah, law of assumption, you guys. Hoping for the best case scenario, expecting the best. And listen, let's talk about science. If you start expecting the best, what? Science, guys, okay?
Somebody clipped we clipped one of our videos and I was like, the science says, and you're like, science. So now I always laugh whenever we say science.
I know. And people in the comments were like, it's science. But no, really, like we're learning more about the science and expecting the best and just kind of assuming that everything is working out, assuming that everything's happening for you, starting to look for the best case scenario, starting to expect the best really does prime your brain to be able to see it.
Yeah. That reticular activating system.
That reticular activating system is probably the hardest worker in our brain. Like it really is working so hard to show us what we are looking for, right? If we are looking for the good, especially with this idea of this whole episode of like looking for the good, having hope, your brain will start showing it to you more. And that I wanted to talk about like who you're following too, because for me, this last week or so there's been like a lot of things going on in the news, right? There's been a lot of movement, a lot of shaking up, especially, here in Los Angeles, for example. And it's like, this week has given me so much hope because the people who I follow are like so for the people. The people I've curated my feed and curated who I follow and who I give my attention to, who I'm paying attention to a group of people for the most part who are for the people, who are sharing the good, sharing the good news and really putting themselves out there and amplifying voices that are good.
Yeah. And you make such a good point about curating your feed and only seeing certain things. Don't feel bad, you guys. I think I used to do this. I would feel bad if somebody's trying to tell me about a situation and I would have maybe a complete opposite take on it. And I'd be like, no, this is really good. Like, this is momentum. Like, this needs to be happening. And I feel like I'm like, is this almost spiritual bypassing? But I'm like, it's not. If it's really all comes down to perspective, like I can hold an opinion and hold the idea that things are moving in the right direction. And, you know, again, joy is a form of resistance, being happy, being excited, looking for the good. Like we have to.
Yeah.
Or for me, like I have to, or
Me too.
else what's the point?
What's the
Like
point?
I would get so scared.
Yeah. And again, back to this idea. I mean, you know, whatever you believe, but for us, for me, I genuinely do believe the world is going in a good direction. And it's like, okay, if let's say 10, 20 years from now, in the world, let's hold the vision. Okay, this is what I believe. The world is going to be in a much better place than it is now. Okay. From here until then, you can either have dread, you can either be worried, you can either have anxiety about it, or you can have hope. And it's like we're gonna live, like we're gonna be there in 10, 20 years. So it's like, are you gonna spend that entire time worried and freaking out, or are you gonna spend that time having hope and feeling good about it?
Yeah. And I mean, and that goes to the visualization aspect of it. It's if you are holding an idea in your mind, that end is going to happen anyway. So it's like between point A and point B, you can't really stress yourself out. You just have to keep holding the vision of the end goal. And then that's what will happen.
And if we have more and more people holding the goal and holding the vision of the new earth, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So make sure you are having hope. And even if it feels weird, you know, even if it feels weird, that's what being delusional kind of is like holding the vision, having hope, expecting the best case scenario, even if it doesn't even feel like it's possible at the moment.
Especially when you can't see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, heavy on, remember, going back to we are a network of observers creating reality. We are so powerful. One person can make a shift happen.
Yeah.
One person can help us move towards the better
world.
outcome.
Yeah. Outcome.
Or world. Yeah.
Outcome world. Totally. Also, you guys, okay, this is confession time for us.
What's about to come out of your mouth?
I didn't run this by you. We have been saying for a long time that we wanted to start getting more involved in like the community and volunteering and things. And we finally both recently volunteered. And I don't know, I think that goes along with this whole episode. That's another way of helping the world is like helping your local community.
Yeah.
The other day I was just feeling, or Kames was gone, and I was like, okay, I have my whole Saturday. Like, what am I doing? And so I drove to like an animal shelter to figure out how I could volunteer there. I ended up volunteering at this local farm here in Los Angeles, it's this guy, Jeremiah. Shout out Jeremiah.
Yeah, he's cool.
He started these like micro farms in people's neighborhoods where they're feeding the community of like fresh vegetables, fresh produce. And it's like the coolest thing ever. And I think that's another example of like, there really are so many amazing people doing the Lord's work of like really, really helping their community. And you just have to look for it. You know, there are people doing that. Either you can either not know about it and think that nothing good is happening, or you can look for it and you can find the people who are doing good things. So we've been saying we were going to volunteer for a long time, but we actually finally started volunteering. So yeah, that's another thing that you can do in your community of trying to help your local community. I think that really does go so far.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky to live in Los Angeles because there's so many opportunities. Me and one of our other girlfriends, we went and did a beach cleanup the other day, which was like so lovely. But yeah, there's always things happening. It's the active choice of, okay, what am I going to put my energy into, put my attention onto, and what do I want to see? And if you're not seeing a shift happen, you can make that shift happen yourself.
Yeah,
that's the other cool thing.
Yeah,
and
it's cool to find other people. Like if you go and volunteer, you are surrounded by people who are also volunteering. You're like-minded. You're sharing these ideas. You're like, wow, there's actually so many people like near me who are doing such good things, and it's so inspiring. And I think that's really, really helpful. If you are feeling if you're feeling a little dread, if you're feeling a little hopelessness, like go volunteer. Like there's a lot of people who are doing really amazing things, and getting out there is really helpful.
If you guys are into astrology, which I think you guys all are, but Age of Aquarius.
You are now.
Yeah. You are now. Not that we could tell you much, but no, Age of Aquarius is happening right now, which is a period of a lot of like information coming up to the surface, a lot of movement, a lot of motion happening, and
in a good way, in like such a good way.
In a good way. But I think sometimes when you really narrow in on it or hone in, it feels really scary. You're just like, what the fuck? Like, why are all these bad things happening? Why is all this coming to head in a certain light, but it's like things need to come up. Like you have to expose certain things in order to be like, okay, I have my awareness on this idea, or I have an awareness on the situation. Things are really fucked up, but now I can go in and help.
Yes.
And I can support, and I can hold the vision, and I can visualize, and I can meditate towards, and I can take personal actions towards this shift. But all in all, still continuing to have radical optimism as that key component of being like, I'm not really accepting this. Like, I'm going to be delusional, and I'm going to assume that good things are happening.
Yeah. Age of Aquarius that's from the little knowledge that we know about it. It is a very transformational time. Like it's a very transformational time. Like you just said, like things are being shaken up, but then so they can be transformed, and we can evolve, and we can grow, and we can move towards, everyone's
highest timeline.
Yeah.
Everyone's highest timeline.
Yeah.
So good things, guys.
Be
radical optimistic. It is the only way out. Please.
Please, guys, please.
Join us on this mission, please.
We also wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about our Inspired Delusions community, because someone, was it a comment on TikTok? I think someone commented and was like, oh, I wish you guys had extra episodes, every week or something, or why do you only have one episode? Which I know you guys want to hear us yap. Like, I know everyone wants us just to yap every single day. Maybe we'll start streaming on Twitch so we can just be with you guys all the time. But we did want to mention that we do have the Inspired Delusions community, which sometimes we kind of describe it as like a group coaching program.
Yeah.
But essentially, we meet every Wednesday live with our community members. The community is growing. Shout out girl, or shout out people who are in there. And we love you guys. So if you did want more access to us and you want to hear us yap even more, you should join the Inspired Delusions community. We have a bunch of resources in there. We have a course. We have our new self-concept glow up guide, which is really powerful. And we have a bunch of EFT tapping sessions in there. We have meditation. So join the Inspired Delusions community. And shout out to one of our members recently who she joined, last month. And then 2 weeks later, she started doing her routine, which we suggest for our members to do, like EFT tapping every day, listening to affirmations, subliminals, all these things that are helping to rewire your mind, regulate your nervous system. She was really, really committed to that. And she messaged us like 2 weeks later, was like, I'm like really feeling so much better. And she was even saying that she's going off of her anxiety meds. And so it's just like another testament to you actually can change your mindset really, really, really fast. You guys, if anyone is feeling down and you feel like you're not going to be able to get out of it, this is just a reminder that you actually can change your mindset really quickly. If you're in our membership. No, just kidding.
No, yeah, it's a lot of resources, but ultimately an extra podcast episode every week is what we do on Wednesdays. So you guys should join. And you're so right. If you put your mind to something and you say you're going to get whatever you want, it will happen. You have to be radically optimistic. You have to be delusional. You have to use law of assumption. You just have to tell yourself over and over and over again, things always work out for me. I assume everything works out for me. I assume I'm on my highest timeline. Thank you, whatever higher source power you believe in, for putting me on my highest timeline. And just, really marinating in those beliefs. That's how you make movement.
Yeah, it's definitely setting your intentions, asking for help, setting your intentions, like really asking for what you actually want moves you towards it. Like it really does. We can do a whole episode on like quantum physics. We are talking about quantum physics inside of our membership on Wednesday. So this is relevant, but quantum physics also really does prove that our focus and our attention is literally creating our reality. It goes with this idea of like, or the quote, what you focus on expands. And so that also goes to this whole topic of like, hey, start focusing on the good, start expecting the good, start holding the vision of the good. And that is actually creating your reality. Or another way to think about it is that there's infinite versions of reality. And so we're always shifting between versions of reality. So it's like, you can either shift, quote unquote, shift like down and go worse and worse and worse, or you can start shifting up and, going higher and higher and higher and raising your vibration and expecting good things. And even if you start expecting good things and being delusional and trying to have hope and trying to force yourself to think about the best case scenario, it might feel weird at first. Like it really might feel weird at first. It might feel fake. And, I was just talking to one of my one-on-one clients, and she was, there's a phenomenon, like this is literally a phenomenon where if you've been in a cycle of being really negative, being really hard on yourself, like really being worrisome, and you start shifting your mindset to being really proud of yourself, being kind to yourself, your body is going to reject it. Like your mind and body is going to reject it because your mind doesn't like change. We talk about that all the time, but you kind of just have to force yourself to keep doing it until it finally clicks and until it finally becomes like more of a habit. And so this is just your reminder.
Yeah, definitely heavy on the reminder, heavy on the every choice you make is a quantum leap, right? Every choice you make shifts you in whatever direction. So holding the vision. And obviously something that's really helpful is just flooding yourself with positive content, whether it's this podcast or, I mean, we talk about Abraham Hicks all the time. She's lovely to listen to. Louise Hay has been my girl recently. I'm obsessed with her.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Really a lot of good info. Being mindful of what content you're consuming in general, that's really impactful.
So we're probably going to keep this episode pretty short and sweet today. But we wanted to remind you guys that 1, you should follow us on Instagram, and 2, you should DM us if you have any ideas of topics that you want us to talk about. Like, if you guys just want to learn from, the ultimate gurus, okay, let us know what you guys want us to talk about, or if you have any guest recommendations or just any feedback in general. I was talking to one of our friends and she was like, I kind of love it when it's like just you guys. So let us know if you like it when it's just us, or if you want more guests or things like that. But you need to follow us on Instagram because shout out to one of our lovely fans and followers who messaged us a few weeks ago and was like, she just followed us on Instagram. She's like, why don't you guys have more followers?
Yeah, she was like, I love your podcast. Why don't you have more followers? And at first I was like, oh yeah, like they're coming. And then the more I was thinking about it, I was like, actually, yeah, why don't we have more followers?
Why don't we have more followers?
That's a great question. In fact, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
It actually makes no sense. That doesn't correlate.
It's very confusing.
Best podcast in the world, but only 500 followers. Something's not clicking.
So funny.
So everyone go follow us on Instagram. It is at Inspired Delusions. And keep giving us ratings. We're seeing the ratings on Spotify go up,
as well as rate on Apple too.
Yeah, go rate us on Apple as well.
/comment
on Spotify.
Comment on both.
Yeah, comment on everything.
Rate on both.
Comment on Instagram. Comment on TikTok. Comment on Spotify, Apple. Guys, come on, okay? We need your help. No, I'm just kidding. But we actually did want to see. Like, we've been having some people message us. It was like, hey, if we want to partner together, or people, I don't know, like our listeners are so amazing. Shout out to you guys. We're obsessed with you guys.
So sweet.
And if anyone is good at PR, let us know. Because we're trying to be in magazines. We're trying to be on the cover of Forbes. We're trying to be like, we need some PR. Okay. So
we need a little help, you guys. And this is us humbly asking y'all to let us know. Just let us know.
Yeah, let us know. But yeah, we love you guys. Keep the hope. Everything is going in a good direction. Like, really, really stand up for, your neighbors, stand up for your loved ones and people, and just realize like there's so many good people in this world. And there's so many people who are, putting themselves literally on the line to help everyone. Like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And shout out to Hassan. I'm sure you're listening.
You guys, please, everyone, DM him this episode. Please.
Literally.
That would make Olivia's whole life.
It would. It really actually would.
That's so funny. But yeah, radical optimism is the only way out, even when it feels really spooky. Just believing in the idea that good things are happening. Good things are happening, and we need to continue shining light on it. And it can be whether it's stuff in your day to day, or whether it's on a national or global scale. Just holding the hope and holding the vision, just knowing that good things are happening. Yeah. Even if we sometimes don't always see it, like there's a lot of good to be excited about.
Yeah, 1000%. But yeah, we love you guys, and we will see you next week.
We will see you next week.